Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. First, I'd like to thank colleagues for signing the motion and for those who are going to speak today. I'm certainly humbled to bring such an important debate to the Chamber today. As I mentioned in the motion, the Childhood Bereavement Network informs us that 62% of children in Scotland have lost a close family member by the age of 10. Almost two-thirds of children in our primary schools will have lost a mother, a father, a sibling or a grandparent in their young life. That is a very sobering statistic, but one that we all need to be cognizant of, as death and bereavement is a harsh reality of life. It's incumbent upon us all to do what we can to support young people when they are dealing with a bereavement, but also to, I believe, ensure that our young people have a level of resilience to actually help them deal with any trauma that may befall them during their formative years. And I want to go into why I brought this debate to the Chamber today. I've spoken about an incredible person in the Chamber before, and I am pleased to actually be able to do so again today. Ben Kane is a young man from my constituency. He set up a bereavement support group in the school, Cledeview Academy in Gourock, after he himself suffered the loss of a loved one. Ben received support from the local organisation Mind Mosaic Child and Family Therapies, based in Greenock, and his support worker suggested that it might be of use to him and others if he started a support group. And that is exactly what Ben did. It's now been running for 2 years, and although Ben has now left school and is studying politics at Glasgow University, with an eye on actually sitting in one of these seats at some point in the future, several other pupils have kept the support group running. And to me, this highlights the need for such groups. And I understand it will be difficult for young people going through bereavement to contemplate setting up a group like this. But if they do, Cledeview Academy in Gourock is the example to follow. Unfortunately, there will always be more young people experiencing grief that will ensure that the group keeps going. I thought long and hard about how to approach today's debate, as I'm speaking about death, loss and grief. And no one relishes discussing these particular subjects, but I wanted to find a balance between being respectful to the issue, but also making the most of vital parliamentary time to debate this subject and hopefully make life just slightly a bit easier for our young people who are grieving today, tomorrow and also in the future. And that's why the work undertaken by Ben and his fellow pupils to support themselves while supporting others is so important. According to a study by the Children and Young People's Centre for Justice and the University of Strathclyde, more than half of Scottish children have experienced bereavement of a close family member by the age of 8. And the study was published in 2020 and does not capture the effect of COVID. And I think we can all expect this figure now to be somewhat higher. And as we know, COVID affected our young people very acutely, and whilst focused on bereavement so far, the motion is entitled Children's Grief Awareness Week 2023, which runs from the 16th to the 23rd of November. Children across Scotland, indeed the world, struggled being locked down in their homes, learning virtually, not being able to see their friends. Now, many of them will have lost a friend or a family member, and the grieving process would have been so much more challenging for them going through the COVID period. Now, being aware of and cognizant of children's grief is even more necessary in a post-COVID world. We know that the health services to support children are stretched, and the pandemic has placed a lasting strain upon our NHS. And that's why I believe the theme of this year's week is very apt, and it's the shape of your support. And with the focus being on the people around a bereaved child or a young person, beyond their friends or family, who can be there to support them through their grief, with the key question being asked: who else can you ask for help or support beyond your friends and family? The Ben's support group in his old school answers this question. All of us speaking in today's debate are helping to advance the aims of this year's theme. And Child Bereavement UK are also there to offer that help and support. Now, they have a dedicated phone line, 0800 02 888 40, and can offer telephone or face-to-face support for bereaved young people and also their parents. And Child Bereavement UK helps families to rebuild their lives when a child grieves or when a child dies. And the charity supports children and young people up to the age of 25, when someone important to them has died or is not expected to live, and parents in the wider family when a baby or child of any age dies or is dying. The Child Bereavement UK also provides training to professionals in health and social care, education and the voluntary and corporate sectors, equipping them to provide the best possible care to bereaved families. The charity has set up 11 regional bereavement networks for professionals across Scotland who work in the statutory and also third sectors, as well as business that support people with bereavement. The networks are also open to campaigners and activists, and the voice of lived experience is crucially important in these networks. Sean Humphreys, the Child Bereavement UK National Development Coordinator for Scotland, is responsible for the facilitation and development of these networks, and he is currently looking to establish further networks in Argyll and Bute and also in the borders to try to ensure that even more coverage of all parts of the country. Is keen to hear from anyone who wants to be part of the existing or new networks. And if anyone living in these areas is interested in helping set up a network, please contact my office and I can put you in contact with Sean. On the 5th of December, all members of the networks are invited to join them for a national network event and training day where the theme will be on how they've adapted services to meet the changing needs and as how we grieve has changed over recent years, taking into account COVID-19 and associated restrictions and also the cost of living crisis. In 2022, Growing Up Grieving, the National Childhood Bereavement Project's final report was published and submitted to the Scottish Government. And earlier this year, I asked the Scottish Government when it would respond to the recommendations in the report, which included, and I quote, embedding commitment to improve support for bereaved children and young people into wider national priorities, promote greater awareness of children and young people experiencing grief, and to establish a National Secretariat for Childhood Bereavement. I would ask the Minister to update the Chamber today regarding when the Scottish Government will respond to all of the recommendations in the report. And I want to thank also the Church of Scotland for their communication about the Reverend Fiona Gardner and the book that she's written entitled Love Songs for Healing and Hope. The proceeds of the book will be donated to 2 Christian charities, helping people, including young people, deal with grief. The 2 charities are Quiet Waters and Richmond's Hope. So come back to the work being undertaken in one constituency. And before closing, as part of the Inverclyde Bereavement Network, Ben Kane has arranged for the network's next regular meetings to take place this Friday to coincide with Children's Grief Awareness Week. And the meeting will specifically focus on bereavement from a young person's perspective. And Ben himself has already taken on board the recommendations in the Growing Up Grieving report. And Ben asked me to conclude the speech in this way. He wanted me to mention how Inverclyde has come together around this cause and calls on all local authorities to do so. He is proud, extremely proud of the unity and the collective local effort, and it's something that I very much agree with Ben on. So I do want to say well done to everyone in Inverclyde for making that difference to support our young people dealing with grief and bereavement.